The tech giant Infosys is understood to be closing its office in Russia. It comes after the chancellor, Rishi Sunak, was accused of hypocrisy. He's called for companies to divest from Russia, but his wife owns a multi-million-pound stake in the firm founded by her father. Our deputy political editor, Sam Coates, reports.
Unprecedented times has meant unprecedented scrutiny for Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, as the country turns to him for help with rising prices. Brexit, pandemic and now the conflict in Ukraine has meant doing things his predecessors didn't have to.
I believe there is no argument for new investment in the Russian economy. I am urging asset owners and managers to think very carefully about any investments that would in any sense support Putin and his regime.
What applies to the country applies at home too. Here he is with his wife, Akshata Murthy. She owns shares estimated to be worth more than £400 million in an Indian tech giant called Infosys, set up by her father. But Infosys was operating in Russia even after the Ukraine invasion.
Whereas it appears your family potentially could be benefiting from Putin's regime.
No, I don't think that's the case. And as I said, the operations of all companies are up to them. We've put in place significant sanctions, and all the companies that we're responsible for are following those, as they rightly should, sending a very strong message to Putin's aggression.
Do you know if Infosys is?
I have absolutely no idea, because I have nothing to do with that company.
Tonight, Sky News can confirm that Infosys is now closing its office in Russia. The company won't say why, but it comes after days of pressure, which the Chancellor said he found very upsetting. But questions that were needed to be asked, say opponents.
We're quite right to be asking questions about where his income is coming from and whether or not that might be having an influence on whether he'd be more soft on some companies that are still operating out of Moscow 5 weeks into the invasion. Would he be influenced because he's actually benefiting from that?
It was always going to get tougher for Rishi Sunak, who was lauded for his handling of the coronavirus pandemic as Chancellor at the start. But now times are tougher, money is tighter. He's having to say no to colleagues, and he's making clear he doesn't like some of the scrutiny that he's getting in the spotlight. Cutting Moscow off properly is a key goal of the West, even as countries like India offer Russia's foreign minister ways to get around the sanctions. Rishi Sunak is learning that that pressure starts at home. Sam Coates, Sky News, Westminster.
Let's take you to Downing Street now, and our deputy political editor, Sam Coates. And Sam, ongoing questions for the Chancellor there and for the Prime Minister. Partygate rumbles on.
That's right. In December, Boris Johnson told us that no rules were broken. Well, today, Gillian, emails announcing the fines given to certain officials who work in the buildings around me dropped into inboxes, confirming that rules were broken at the height of the pandemic. Now, we don't know the identities of the individuals who've been fined. Scotland Yard hasn't told us, and the individuals themselves haven't confessed publicly. But we believe that they're connected to an event in June 2020, so pretty early on in the pandemic. It was a leaving do of a senior number 10 official at an event attended by both senior and junior staff in 70 Whitehall, one of the buildings about 100 metres behind me. That's the source of the fines that have been issued by Scotland Yard today. There will be more. We're at the start of a pretty long process, I suspect. One of the reasons that it's all taking so long is that Scotland Yard, who are doing the investigating, are now having to consult with the Crown Prosecution Service just in case any of the people that are fined in future appeal. The CPS would have to provide a lawyer in court to prosecute the case, and they want to make sure the police's investigation is as watertight as possible. So the CPS making sure the police is dotting the I's, crossing the T's to ensure that if people appeal, the state wins rather than the person who is appealing.
Sam, thank you. Criminal and civil investigations have been opened into P&O Ferry's decision to sack 800 of its staff with no notice. It comes 2 weeks after the workers were dismissed and replaced with lower paid crew, a decision that the government called illegal. Gerard Tubb has more.